Right. I call the case of Dennis Valuch, Valuch versus International Autos Group. This is ERD case CR 2019-00490, EEOC case number 26G 20144C. This is a continuation of a hearing. Let's see. That was just a second. It was commenced on May 18th, 20. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Okay.
I believe August 18th, Your Honor.
That's what I thought.
Okay. August 18th, 2021. I'm just looking for the date. And then note I'm Administrative Law Judge James Schacht. It's SCHA-CHT appearances for the parties.
Rebecca Salauda appearing on behalf and with the complainant Dennis Valuch.
Attorney Joshua Brady, B-R-A-D-Y, appearing on behalf of the respondent, International Autos. Also appearing on behalf of International Autos is their corporate deponent designation, Tony Pristula.
Okay, in the situation.
I was just going to spell it, Your Honor. P-R-Z-Y-T-U-L-A is Mr. Pristula's name.
Okay. This matter was commenced, and there was a discovery issues that resulted in being continued. Just to note that a couple of things. One, while everything in that is considered in the record, that I'm giving, if certain things need to be gone over because of the time in the discovery situation, then I'm allowing that to happen. I note in the matter that the exhibits that were received and marked have been by the complainant have been withdrawn, and another group substituted for those. I would note that this is the status of those exhibits at this point. First, marked as complaints exhibit 1 are 2014 and 15 income and RAP reports, and that has been marked and received, and foundation stipulated to. C2 has been withdrawn. C3 is a timeline, and it's been marked. Just been marked. Complaints exhibit 4 is an email dated March 29th, 2019 with attachment and the stipulation of foundation, but not admission at this point. Marked as complaints exhibit number 5 is a compensation plan, and that's been stipulated to and received. Marked as complaints exhibit number 6 is the 2018 W-2 earnings summary from Hall Imports, and that's been stipulated to and received. Marked as complaints exhibit number 7 are discovery responses, the first discovery responses, and that's been marked and stipulated to foundation. These 7 through 12 are being reserved for impeachment, and no decision has been made on the admission. But the C8, the supplementary discovery responses, C9, the third supplemental discovery responses, C10, the Dan Jansen deposition part 1, C12, the Lawrence Mikowski deposition part 1, and I think you saw in the matter that it somehow the second part of Dan Jansen deposition was after the 2 Mikowski depositions for some reason. The 2 parts of the Mikowski deposition are 12 and 13. The second part of the Dan Jansen deposition is number 11, even though it is number-wise, it is after the Mikowski depositions. and complaints exhibit number 12 is the Tony Prestula deposition, and all of those have been stipulated to foundation, but there's no request for their admission at this point. Have I accurately read, and do my statements accurately represent the status of the complaints exhibits?
Yes.
Okay, and then dealing with there was believe the respondents exhibits identified or discussed at that hearing too, and but this is the update of those. The numbering hasn't changed, or there's none of them added, and so that the response exhibit number 1 is the associate handbook, and that's been marked and received. Response exhibit number 2 is a compensation plan effective January 2014, and that's been marked and received. Marked as response exhibit number 3 is a gross profit chart that has been marked, but no stipulation. Marked as response exhibit number 4 is an employee warning notice dated January 6, 2016, and that's been marked and received. Marked as response exhibit number 5 is a workers' comp claim notice dated May 24th, 2016 with attachment, and that has been marked and received. Marked as response exhibit number 6 are customer comments, and that has been marked and stipulated to admission. Marked as response exhibit number 7 are emails dated November 16th and 17th, 2016, and they've been marked and received. Marked as response exhibit number 8 is an earnings record, and the foundation has been stipulated to, but not admission. Marked as response exhibit 9 are commission calculations, and that's been marked, no stipulations. Response exhibit number 10 on hours worked reports, and those have been marked, no stipulations. My response exhibit number 11 is a service advisory recap reports, and that's been marked, no stipulation. Marked as response exhibit number 12 are Secura, SECURA documents, and that's been marked, stipulated to, and admitted. Marked as response exhibit number 13, a letter dated June 12, 2018 with attachments, and that's been marked and received. Marked as response exhibit number 14 is a letter dated June 27th, 2018. That's been marked and received. Marked as response exhibit number 15 are gross profit statements, and this is the same as complaints exhibit 2. There's a stipulation to foundation, but neither party is requesting admission at this point. Marked as response exhibit number 16 is the complaint, and that's been marked and stipulated to foundation, but no request to admit at this point. Marked as response exhibit number 17 is a response to the complaint, and that's been marked and stipulated to foundation, but no request to admit at this point. And marked as response exhibit number 18 are financial statements from 2015 and 16, and that's been marked and no stipulations. Mr. Brady, does that summarize the status of your exhibits?
That is accurate, Your Honor.
Okay, so so then in the situation that, is there anything we need to attend to before continuing Mr. Valuch's testimony?
None that I can think of.
Okay, then Mr. Valuch, remember you continue to be under oath?
Yes.
And go ahead, Ms. Slaughter, with your questioning.
Actually, I do have a quick question. I just want to confirm, you want us to do the manipulation of the exhibits, share screen, things like that?
That is among your options.
Yeah,
I gave you 4 of them, and if you know, I am happy to, even though that I have control issues. I am so trusting and of attorneys that I will relinquish my sharing duties to you if you want to do them yourself.
okay. Thank you. So, Mr. Valuch, I understand this is a continuation of a hearing that started several months ago, but just to get us back all on the same page, I'm going to be going over a few of the same background questions. So if you could start off with, just so we make sure that I'm also not mispronouncing it, your full name and spelling.
Dennis Scott Valuch, Dennis Scott Valuch,
And your date of birth.
January 26, 1963.
Just say, I'm going to just close my door because I'm hearing the echo from downstairs. And so that makes you what age?
59. Excuse me.
And there was a time when you worked for International Autos Group?
Yes.
And when did you start working there?
May or June of 2005.
And what position were you hired into?
Service manager.
And service manager where?
In the West Dallas store. Pardon me.
Was there a particular brand or type of car that you were working with?
Yeah, at first it was BMW and Mini.
And how long were you working with BMW Mini?
From 2005 until 2012, a little over 7 years.
And in 2012, did something change with your employment then?
I left International Autos in September.
Did you return to work there?
Yes,
And when did you return?
May of 2013.
All right. And who hired you back?
Tony Cristula,
And what position did you have when you were hired back?
service manager for BMW and Mini.
Okay. So the exact same job you had before?
Yes,
And how long did you stay in that job then?
I was in that job until January 2014.
All right. What job, strike that. What changed with your job then in January of 2014?
I was transferred to the Waukesha Mercedes-Benz of Elmbrook location.
What cars or brands were you working on in Elmbrook?
Mercedes-Benz Sprinter vans, Porsche, and Maserati.
They have Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, Maserati, and what else?
Porsche.
All right. Was there a reason that you wanted to go over to Elmbrook?
I was asked to make the change to the location because there was a struggle with the service department there, and it was an opportunity to better myself, better my career, increased income.
Why was it a chance to better your career?
It was allowing me to run the entire service department. at that location where I was given responsibility, being able to hire technicians, service advisors, as long as I was within the parameters that the company had provided.
So the Elmbrook location was run a little bit different than West Dallas?
Yes,
And so was, if I'm understanding your testimony, was one of those differences that you were able to hire your own people?
yes.
Okay,
Objection, that's leading. That wasn't his testimony.
okay. Tell me how it was, I'll withdraw. Tell me how how it was different, how your job was different in Elmbrook versus West Dallas.
I was given the opportunity to supervise the entire service department, whereas at West Allis, Tony Prestula oversaw service operations, and I was, second in charge there.
Okay. And what did that mean by, as far as your job duties, being able to run the entire service department?
I was responsible for hiring of personnel, as within the company's parameters. I was responsible for overseeing all the personnel. So I was more responsible for the entire department rather than just whatever I was given responsibility with at West Dallas.
And how did that change then with your ability to do the job by being able to make hiring decisions?
I was able to grow the service department, hire more employees,
Okay.
increase the volume of business.
All right. And did your income remain the same in Elmbrook as it was in West Dallas?
No, it grew substantially.
And why was that?
Because I was given responsibility over the whole department. I was put on a different type of pay plan where I was paid off the gross profit of the department, and we were growing out there. So as the department sales grew, my income grew.
So how was your pay structured?
I was paid a weekly salary, and then I was paid a percentage of the gross profit.
Okay. And was that the same at West Dallas as at Elmbrook?
No, it went up from West Dallas to Elmbrook.
I mean, was it the salary plus commissions at West Dallas and at Elmbrook?
Yes.
All right. And so why was it more in Elmbrook?
It was, pardon me, it was a higher rate of pay, and it was a higher rate of commission.
Okay. So when you started in Elmbrook, you said one of the brands that you supervised was Sprinter, correct?
Yes.
How many technicians reported to you when you started in Elmbrook in January of 2014?
There were 7.
Maybe I should clarify. For Sprinter alone, how many technicians did you have?
1.
Okay. And did that number change during your time at Elmbrook?
Yes, that grew to 3.
Okay. And how did that impact the income that you brought in at Sprinter?
It grew substantially.
Okay. And then same thing with the other brands. Take Mercedes-Benz. How many technicians did you have that worked on Mercedes-Benz vehicles when you first started?
There were 4.
Okay. And by the time that you left Elmbrook, how many Mercedes-Benz technicians did you have?
There were 5 or 6.
Okay. And then same question for Maserati and Porsche. How many
There-
when you started and how many when you ended?
There were 2 and 3 when I left.
Okay. So how does the number of technicians impact the gross income in the service department?
The more technicians you have, the more opportunity you have for billable hours because you have more capacity to bring more vehicles through the workshop, which also increases the sales of parts.
Okay. Are there also challenges that you face when you're growing like that?
When you're growing, you're bringing in a lot of new personnel who are not familiar with perhaps the product or with the clientele or with the policies and procedures of the company and the manufacturers.
And how does that then impact the day-to-day work?
It becomes a bit more of a challenge because you're constantly have people that are learning, that you're trying to teach, that you're trying to guide, that you're trying to get trained up to speed to work with the vehicles and the clientele.
Okay. Does that impact at all the work with the clientele?
Not sure I understand.
Okay. If I can scratch that question, let me go back. How many service advisors did you supervise when you started at Elmbrook?
2.
And how many when you were done working at Elmbrook 3 years later?
4.
Now I'd like to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 1. See if I can.
Complainants or respondents?
Complainant, sorry. All right. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right. And Mr. Valuch, what is this?
That is a gross profit statement that was put together by Tony Fristula.
Okay. And for where?
Believe that's the Waukesha location.
Okay. Is that the same thing as the Elmbrook location?
Correct.
Okay. And this says, this is for what? For Mercedes-Benz?
Yes,
Okay. And so this would have been one of the areas that you were working in?
that is correct.
Okay. And for what years is this?
2014 and 2015.
Okay. And just taking us through a couple of these definitions, it lists something called customer pay labor. What is customer pay labor?
That is any labor that a retail customer pays for.
Okay. And then what is warranty pay labor?
warranty pay labor is the labor paid, pardon me, is the labor paid for by the manufacturer.
Okay. And internal paid labor, what is that?
That is labor paid for by the dealership.
Okay. And why would the dealership be paying for internal pay?
It's for reconditioning used cars. It's paid for installing accessories on new cars or used cars. It's paid for pre-delivery inspections or safety inspections on new cars or used cars.
Okay. So just to maybe best explain, I bring my car in and I have a recall notice and that needs to be fixed. Where would that fall within?
That'd be warranty pay labor.
All right. And I bring it in and you notice that that I haven't had a tune-up, my 50,000 mile tune-up. And I say, okay, go ahead and do that. Where would that land?
That would be in customer pay labor.
Okay. And then down here, it also shows parts. Does that follow the same way? Customer pay, warranty pay, internal pay?
Yes.
Okay. And then down on the bottom, what does this represent? The 140,000.
That's an increase in gross profit from 2014 to 2015 on Mercedes-Benz.
Okay. All right, then showing you, and then I'm sorry, didn't have the whole page up. So then it shows here per month average labor parts in total. What does that represent?
That's the, pardon me. That's the gross profit for labor and for parts per month. That's a projection.
Okay.
The 2014 is the actual figure that, and yeah, it's a projected increase. At the bottom is a projected increase for 2016.
Okay.
2014, 2015 per month averages.
All right. And who came up with is that a number that you came up with, the projected increase for 2016 to be 13%?
No,
Okay. Did you talk with anybody at the time as to what you believed the projected increase for 2016 could be?
no.
Okay.
Excuse me.
No. Do you need to grab a glass of water or anything?
Excuse me. Yes.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
just pause.
Good.
I need to grab something too, so we'll just pause the video and while you get it, and I'll get something too.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Now, Mr. Valuch, I'm going to show you what's been Exhibit 1, page 2. And what is this?
That's the Sprinter gross profit.
And that's one of the other brands that you were responsible for?
Yes,
And is this also at Elmbrook?
that is correct.
Okay. And
I don't see the bait stamp numbers on what you're sharing. I think you're sharing the wrong thing.
this, no.
Oh, there they are. There they
okay.
are. Sorry.
Sorry. All right. And yeah, this
You know,
is
it would be helpful though in the situation to make references to pages that you reference the bait stamp number.
sure. So The first document we looked at was ERD 1000, and the second one is ERD 1001.
So just dealing with the things, if somebody's looking at it, like Lurk, then if you refer to the page number, then they can look at the page number to duplicate what you're looking at. Otherwise, it might not be clear. Understand my point?
Yes, no, that's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So this is also for 2014 and 2015?
Yes.
Okay. And down below, what sort of increase does this show that there was between 2014 and 2015?
34.8%.
Okay. And the projected increase for 2016?
Was 20%.
Okay.
And please remember that since this is already in, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
That
Yep.
I don't need to have those things read to me. Just I promise that if it's admitted, then I'll look at it.
As a service department manager, what records were you able to review to monitor your sales report?
RAP reports.
RAP reports, RAP?
RAP, correct.
Okay. Anything else that you were able to review in order to monitor sales?
That was the only thing I had access to, or that
Okay.
I had known I had access to.
All right. And then looking at ERD 1002, which is Exhibit 1, page 3, is this a RAP report?
Yes.
Okay. And it, all right. And we'll talk about that more later. Okay. Other than the RAP report, were you ever directed to or provided with any other documents so that you could monitor sales?
No.
During your time that you were working in Elmbrook, maybe if I can step back, you referenced Waukesha before and Elmbrook. Do you reference those interchangeably?
Yes, you could.
Okay.
The same location.
Okay. Just to be clear for the record, if someplace says Waukesha or if you reference Waukesha, you're meaning Elmbrook. That's the same location. Okay. During your time at Elmbrook, did anyone in management ever talk to you about concerns they had related to your sales performance?
No.
Were there any challenges you faced with this fast growth?
Yeah, at times with new employees, not understanding the product or the processes or the clientele, you would run into some road, some bumps in the road.
And what kind of bumps in the road?
Once in a while, you'd run into an issue with an unhappy customer because the employee didn't understand the customer or the product well enough. Sometimes you'd run into an issue with a technician's work on a vehicle because he's still learning the product.
So is customer satisfaction something that is monitored as far as your performance?
Yes.
Okay. And how was the customer satisfaction performance in your department while you were at Embrook?
It was good at times, other times average,
Okay.
or in the neighborhood of average.
Okay. Is there any metric or report that you're provided or that you look at related to customer service?
There would be a, customer satisfaction report that's put together by the manufacturer.
Okay. And is there sort of a level that you're required or expected to achieve?
Yes, there's a level which they want you to achieve.
Okay. And during your time at Elmbrook, were there times that you didn't achieve that?
Yes.
Okay. What steps, if any, did you take to address that?
I would provide additional guidance to the service advisors. I would ask our shop foreman to work with the newer technicians. I would try new processes or procedures to help get employees on track. I would contact or take contacts from customers myself, whether it be in person or by phone or email.
Did you have any communication with, let me step back. Who is the general manager in Elmbrook?
It was Larry Mikowski.
Okay. And did you have any communications with Mr. Mikowski regarding the customer satisfaction?
Yes,
And when was the first time you communicated with him about that?
it was on a regular basis.
Did he express to you that he had concerns about customer satisfaction?
Yes.
All right.
We
And
both did.
okay. So you also had concerns about customer satisfaction?
Yes.
All right. And were there any steps that Mr. Murkowski suggested that you take to address customer satisfaction?
No.
While working in Elmbrook, were you ever injured at work?
Yes.
And when was that?
It was in 2013. Summer, June, May, June, July. I don't remember the exact date.
Okay, if I can direct you, you testified earlier that you started in Elmbrook in 2014.
Correct. 2016, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's mixed up.
Sure. And what happened?
Just tripped on a carpet remnant that was by the Parks Department.
By the parts?
Yes, as I was walking from the service drive into the workshop, you walk through a hallway by the parts counter, and that's where I fell, tripped and fell.
And did you need any follow-up medical care?
Yes.
And what was that?
Went to the doctor and had x-rays and MRIs taken.
Okay. Any lasting injury as a result?
I had a torn ACL.
And what treatment, if any, did you receive for that?
Physical therapy.
And how long did you go to physical therapy?
I a couple months. Exactly how long, I don't remember.
Okay. Did that resolve the issue?
It resolved it to the point where I could live with it. I
Okay.
could function.
Did there ever come a time that you requested medical leave from your manager?
Yes,
And when was that?
it was in November of 2016.
And what was the reason?
I believed I was suffering from depression.
Was that a conversation you had in person, by email? How did you communicate that with him?
I conveyed that through an email to Larry, letting him know I was going to be late one day because I had to have a medical assessment.
Okay.